Say hello.
Hey, thanks for unmuting me.
Wonderful. I can hear you loud and clear. Well,
Okay.
welcome back, everyone. And we are now in the home stretch of our two-day basic training for speakers who want to achieve reach and influence for their important message. Our last speaker is Mr. Marlon Dahl. Allow me to introduce him to you. Marlon is a video marketing expert. And from personal experience, I can assure you that that is not an empty claim. He is the founder of Vireo, where he works with brands to create video marketing strategies that generate scalable viewership, leads, and sales. Prior to Vireo, Marlon worked at the world's largest YouTube network called BBTV, growing some of the largest channels on YouTube. Marlon has been certified by YouTube in audience development. Marlon is also a content creator, hosting a cooking show called Bachelor on a Budget, where he teaches viewers how to cook healthy, tasty, and affordable meals. In East Vancouver, you may spot Marlon cruising around on his electric skateboard. Fellow members, let's put our hands together digitally and welcome Mr. Marlon Dahl. Marlon, your opening question is this. How do you want us to handle questions? Do you want to deal with them as you go, or do you want to deal with them all as a batch at the end of our interview?
I assumed that it was all at the end, but I'm totally fine to answer them midway through.
All right, so attendees, please put your questions in the Q&A, not in the chat. Put them in the Q&A, and that way there's one place for Marlon to keep an eye on over the course of this interview. Marlon, your first interview question is to tell us why video views are so important to the life and times and career and ability to attract a powerful following of a serious speaker.
Sure. Let me share my screen here with you. One sec.
There we go. It's coming.
Okay. You can see my screen?
Yep, totally.
Okay. So this kind of answers it. I want you to imagine if your videos were getting tens of thousands of views and what that would do. So is this going to provide new revenue sources, provide new opportunities? If your videos were connecting with an ideal audience, such as your customers, your clients, and then they start coming to you instead of you chasing them, and your videos, they live on for, well, as long as you keep them up for the platform to stay alive. But these videos, they can continue to generate new audiences and new traffic. So on my own personal YouTube channel, I have videos that I produced 2-3 years ago, and these still generate 30,000 monthly views, some of these videos, and continue to kind of build an audience for me. And so it kind of works passively. And so these video advertisements that you can potentially create can be generating prospects, leads, and customers even while you're sleeping. Does that answer, Roger?
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, well done. Now, while I introduced you, those words that I provided were my words. I'm sure our listeners would love to hear from the horse's mouth, that's you, how and where you developed this expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I used to work at Broadband TV, and this is the world's largest YouTube network. And so I had the privilege to help some of our smallest to largest creators grow their audiences, and got to work with some really amazing brands. So I helped World Star Hip Hop. We were generating 100 million monthly views. I optimized the video that got 2 billion monthly views, 2 billion total views. Major Lasers, Lean On. Since then, there we were helping lots of creators. I saw an opportunity to it really helped brands and personalities, like individuals that had a bigger message. They weren't just creators. It wasn't just around content. They had a service or product that was providing value. And so we started helping brands through my video marketing agency, Vireo Video. So these are some of the brands that we've had the privilege of helping to grow, and locally and abroad in the States. And yeah, we've been pretty hands-on with brands for the past 2.5 years. And through that, I've got the privilege of being a YouTube certified consultant by YouTube, going through their audience development training program. So I've got a wide range of experience with the video strategy and with video distribution.
You're going to have to update that customer slide. There's one notable logo missing.
Yeah, there's a few.
But one notable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now why don't you segue into giving us, say, 30 minutes of real basic training on the things that our audience, that our listeners need to do in order for them to get tens, if not hundreds of thousands of video views.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to point out, I've done a similar training before for the TEDx speakers, and this is an example of TEDx videos. So I wanted to point out that here is a video that was uploaded 2 days ago at the time of this picture. And you can see kind of the range of viewership. And this video has 3 views. And so when creating content, your videos just don't automatically become viral. Even if you put it on a platform or channel that has a great audience, it requires quite a few things for that video to perform. We want to make sure we're like Sinew. This video here has 3,000 views 8 hours ago. And why that's important, if we're going to build up that early viewership, this is where you're more likely to have a video like Maureen. So Maureen was a previous TEDx speaker, and her video now has 12 million views. And so because this video initially performed really strongly in the early stages, it continued to kind of grow. And we're seeing that with some of the speakers that we're working with through TEDx, and from our own clients, that if you get early engagement, those videos start to perform quite rapidly and long term. This video, for example, it's now the 10th most popular TEDx talk. Included some of the tags there. It was about no sex marriage, masturbation, loneliness, cheating, and shame. And this video has performed quite strongly for Maureen. So there was an analysis I found of 2,550 TED Talks, and I want to highlight some of those key things that was discovered. So what the data showed was that videos that performed really strongly, they had a high number of comments, so great engagement. It's one of the strongest factors of engagement. So when your video is up on the platform, you want to make sure that you're asking people to engage, that you're commenting back, that you're asking questions as much as you can do. This shows YouTube or whatever platform that you're on that there's engagement signals, that people are interested, that there's a conversation happening. And it also increases that watch time of your videos, so total minutes watched, and the audience retention, which are both factors on all platforms for those videos to perform. There should be translations in mixed languages. The video shouldn't be too short, so videos that are, say, 5 minutes don't tend to perform as well for certain terms versus a 10-minute video. This has changed because these platforms, they want to keep people on for as long as they can. So you want to keep it to as long as that you can keep people engaged. So not too short, not too long. The tags were discovered to be around 3 to 8 tags and uploaded on a weekday. So here's some research tools. These are tools that can be really strongly can work really strongly in the research process, like before you even present or do your talk, but also after in the optimization factor, once you have a video and you want that video to perform. But what you can do is take the talk that you are planning on having and put that title into Google and into the YouTube search bar and see what results come up. Do you have any key terms there that have actively being searched? And you can kind of see what the monthly searches are with tools like Google Keyword Planner. This is a Google ad tool that you can see what the monthly search results are of specific terms. Because when your video is on these platforms, if you don't have descriptive phrases around the content, then people aren't going to discover that because it doesn't give enough information about what the content is. So if they type something in and it doesn't actually describe the topic, it's more so a phrase, a catchphrase around that, then it could potentially hinder the growth of your content. So it's worth even looking at similar videos to your topic and just seeing kind of some of the topics and titles that other people have had success with. So some of the most important elements for a talk to go viral on YouTube and other platforms, you want to make sure that you have a great click-through rate. So people see your thumbnail and your video on the platforms and they click through. And YouTube just a couple months ago is now showing this in analytics. So the biggest impact that you can have with click-through rate is having a great visual, that thumbnail, and a great title that's title optimized both for clickability. So it's almost clickbait, but you're baiting people to actually listen and watch to great content, and search oriented. So as I was saying, including a couple main keywords into the title so that people actually can discover that through the search bar. Audience retention, so this is the average percentage of a video viewed. And this is a super important factor for YouTube because, as I mentioned earlier, they want to keep people on the platform. So if you have a 20-minute video and you're keeping people for 70% of it, YouTube's really going to promote that content. Versus if it's 30 seconds, even if someone watches 70% of that, they're much less likely to promote that content because they want to keep people on the platform to sell advertisements. Watch time, this is total minutes watched. So getting people to actually watch the videos, this is a factor of that audience retention. Overall engagement, so seeing signals of comments, of likes, of people watching more videos, and getting those early signals. So early viewership happening, that while that video is still new in the first week, that it's actually getting traction. It doesn't take 6 months for it to actually pick up. And tastemakers. So this is where you have influencers or people within your network who are sharing this, or this has been featured on certain blogs that have credibility. That is much more likely to have a really grand effect on the video's overall growth. So an example is if it were to be shared and upvoted heavily on Reddit, for example. I've had videos there that have made me millions of views just from one Reddit post that caught on. So to have that early engagement, that is super important for these videos to actually perform, and getting that initial viewership velocity. So we'll talk a bit more about some of the factors that will help influence this. So we're going to talk about optimization. So these are some more tools for the optimization process. So rev.com, this does closed captioning. You can get your videos captioned. This provides additional metadata for the content, metadata being information around it. And just having captions has been shown to increase watch time by up to 12%. And that's just on YouTube. On Facebook, I think that's even greater because often people will watch videos without audio. And so you want to make sure that they're captioned, whether you're using their own captioning service or you're hard coding, so actually editing the captions over top of your videos. Some of these tools, vidIQ and TubeBuddy, these are Chrome extensions that you can add. These give you quite a bit of information about what tags other people are using. They can show you what videos are trending. They have a wide suite of different tools and functions that you can leverage. And Social Blade will show you other channels, what kind of viewership they're getting, or your own channel. And we'll even give some predictions for monthly viewership. So in optimizing to write a great title, you want to be specific. So don't be vague about what it's about. Make sure you include some search terms. Don't stuff it with really long, complicated words that people are never going to use or type. Prefer to use rather interesting verbs, so such as learn, visualize, versus forms of be, like is, am, were. And for adjectives, make those a bit more specific. So don't have generic adjectives like awesome. You want to have a bit more interesting adjectives such as scary, slimy, etc. You want to also write a detailed description. So the description gives a lot of information about your talk for the viewers and for the platforms. So you want to write this as if someone has not seen the video and that you can kind of hook them to want to watch. So you can, in just the first sentence, writing a hook that encourages people. So this can be a statistic or facts, and even questions, getting people to question more about what the video is going to be about. And just describing the overall talk or video. And if it's around your personal story, you can say that and include that. You'll also want to include a bio in that description, so 4 to 7 sentences in there, and that's after you've kind of described it. Those first few lines of the description are quite important for metadata, so information around the video. Now, you don't necessarily want to keyword stuff, but make sure you do have a bio in there that describes you and why people should trust you. Transcribe your video. So this is the captioning I was referencing. And if you use a tool like rev.com, you can export this, and then you can even repurpose those captions to, say, create a blog post or use it for shorter content. But this, as mentioned here, this helps people who are deaf and or hard of hearing, or for just people who learn better by reading. So in that distribution, you're going to want to share this out to your specific audience. So this is kind of PR. Make sure that you're emailing this out to your immediate audience, but also to potential influencers, bloggers who've written similar content before. So for the distribution, what existing channels can you leverage to influence the success of your video? So existing platforms that you may have, your newsletter, your blog, you can include it in your email signature or on the homepage of your website. Tools like social tools like Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, StumbleUpon, Reddit. All of these are tools that you can potentially promote that content, and each of these platforms have their own communities. And so if you can tap into communities that are based around your topic, then they may share that through to their own audiences because it's very targeted. So who are the most influential people in your tribe that will help spread your message? You want to identify this. Have a call to action. So you're going to want to have a verbal call to action, either in your video or in the messaging when you share your content out. So when you share your content out on social media or in your to your email list, you want to make sure that they do a couple key things: that they watch the video in its entirety, Like maybe they think, oh, I'll just go onto the video, watch for a couple seconds so you get a view and then turn it off. But you want people to watch it and to know to watch it, because that will increase your audience retention. And they'll likely just watch it just because they're engaged with you and they want to. But if you can kind of explain the importance of that, that will help influence that overall audience retention. Ask them to comment on the video, then you can comment back. As I said earlier, this is a huge engagement signal that really helps the performance of this. Share the video, ask them to share, ask them to like. So those are some of the key things that you want to ask your immediate audience and any other audiences that you connect with to do. So should you pay for views? So there's a couple different ways that you can get views that aren't organic, so kind of paid distribution. So AdWords, this is now Google Ads, and that's where you can actually run YouTube ads and have people watching the video that are very targeted, and very scalable, because these platforms have massive audiences, and you may have a limited reach of how many people you can touch organically. But with media buying, you have a much greater potential, and depending on the topic, if this is related to your business, then having your video in front of a specific targeted audience can really help scale your potential leads and conversions. And this is one of the main things that we do at Vireo Video, my agency. Facebook advertising, so similar to AdWords, they have their own social platform, and your videos you can either promote that natively, so natively upload that video to Facebook, like a trailer, 30 seconds, and get people to watch the full video on YouTube, or post a image ad, so just an image of you, maybe with a motivational quote, and have that promoted and linking back to, say, the YouTube video, Instagram ads, paid publications, so actually finding blogs and that are in your niche and asking them to promote your content, and often that will come at a price. And is it worth finding a random person off Fiverr? I would say no, because then you're risking fake views, and this can lead to fake bots. And bots, so this is people who, sorry, not people, this is algorithms that are watching your content essentially, but often these platforms can detect it, and you risk your video being shut down and the channels being shut down, and risking the overall performance of that content, because if that bot is audience retention just happens for 1 second, because it's just opening up the video and it only shows for 1 second, then you're going to have a really low audience retention, or that it all comes from one demographic that is in third world countries, and YouTube kind of recognizes that. So these platforms can pick up on these signals quite easily, and even if someone were to go into analytics, like I can kind of pick out if there's been botted views for a certain video, or even for a whole channel. Roger, do we have any questions we want to address before we get into? There is a question about the description. Terry asks, the first few sentences of the description are important. In what way? What question should I be answering with my first few sentences, or what targets do I need to understand to leverage an excellent description? So if this is the description on the actual video, the most important part is to make sure you include some of those key terms that people are describing, and just describe the content overall. But this is where your videos can potentially pick up on some of that metadata that people are actively searching for. So include some of those main keywords, and those videos are the platforms are much more likely to recognize what the content's about, even more so than including keywords or tags around the video. There's a lot more weight to the description, the metadata of the description. Kira, sorry for mispronouncing, has a question regarding the channel. YouTube as a personal and business page, is it important to have one versus the other or both? So if you're going to add someone to a channel, you need to have a business page. There's no way really around that unless you share passwords, and you're going to want to do that ahead of time, because if you have a personal page and you have made a lot of comments, then those videos can actually, those comments can actually disappear. And I've had that issue where I had hundreds of comments that I had responded to on my personal channel, and they all disappeared. And so now there's threads of people commenting back and forth to each other without me included. So it looks kind of silly, and you lose out on all that work that you've kind of engaged with your audience.
Marlon, how can you tell if your YouTube channel is a business or a personal channel?
Yeah, so YouTube doesn't really classify it like that, but basically when you go to add a account manager, I think it's youtube.com/accounts. There should be a add a manager to it, and if there's not, then it's a personal account.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are no further questions at this time, hearing none. So why don't you now segue into your irresistible offer as to how you can help us attendees record the kind of number of video views that I know your TEDx Stanley Park clients have recorded. I didn't realize Maureen was one of your clients.
Oh, she's not. I was actually just referencing just the success and the importance of getting early viewership to your talk. And I do have some examples here of where that's important for our clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
So over to you.
Okay, so for the overview of the offer, so this is around repurposing your content. So taking that talk and creating trailers, taking screenshots from it, and really leveraging that video to give a lot of credibility to your brand and get more people to see it on platforms that they may not watch for 20 minutes. So we'll take that video and chop it up into smaller pieces. So like a 30-second trailer of your content. And this is a specific offer for people who have, say, a single video that they want to promote. And we do have larger kind of packages, more comprehensive ways that we work with brands who are paying us from $1,000 to $6,000 per month. But this is kind of an offer specific for this audience. So this is implementation by myself and my team to maximize the viewership of your video. So this includes Facebook and YouTube ad promotion of a single video. So you're going to get that early engagement for credibility and for that increased view velocity. So the amount of people watching your views on a per hourly and per daily basis, and getting in front of a very targeted audience. So here's one of the speakers that we did work with recently. This video came out about 4 or 5 months ago. So Karen McGregor, she's in the top 1% for videos that have been released this time, around this time, and her video has over 350,000 views. And she's been working with us basically since the beginning that her video was promoted. And one of the main things that we're doing here is YouTube ads, so getting this video in front of her specific audience. And we've also taken this video and cut out little segments or stories and repurpose this content onto other platforms. So on Facebook, on Instagram, and not only does she get immediate viewership from this, but she also gets people who are going to her landing page and buying her product. And so while her goal is 1 million views, which we're on track to hit for 1 year from now, we also get the residual benefit of also getting clicks and new leads and prospects for her business. Andrea Menard was another speaker that we were working with. So her video has 60,000 views. This is an example of one of the 30-second trailers. So we'll include a title up at the top and then hard code captions in the middle. And this actually leads to the full version on YouTube. And so then YouTube sees more signals of these videos being promoted. So we use the sizes. So this square size works really well on Facebook and on Instagram because it takes up more of the screen than say a 16:9. But this is a great way for people to get a bite-sized bit of your content rather than them have to, if they're not necessarily ready to engage in a 20-minute video right away. So this is kind of the plan that we've structured and open to customization for if you're more of a business that's looking to use multiple videos and wanting to do remarketing. But for this plan, it's $700 a month. So in month 1, this is where we get access to the accounts. We develop persona, the specific audiences that we want to connect with. We'll set up those YouTube campaigns to start generated targeted views. And so there's also media spend that's necessary there. So from $300 to $600 per month, depending on what you would like to allocate, that can reach around 15 to 30,000 views monthly on that through paid, not including kind of the organic growth that the content gets. We'll create those trailer video assets, so editing of that. In month 2, this is creating some of those motivational quotes, so taking either pictures from your talk or screenshots and including some of the key phrases, some of the key messages that you want to get across that can work really well over an image of you speaking in front of a large audience. So this is where we optimize some of those YouTube ad campaigns and also set up Facebook ad campaigns of the trailer and with those motivational quote images. In month 3, so this is, we'll create another trailer, so another condensed version, that clip of your talk, and optimize those initial campaigns. So we're getting a lower cost per view. Generally, we're averaging around 1 to 2 cents per view for paid media. So it's quite affordable for getting your message in front of real people. And we'll also create some new image assets. So those motivational quotes to get people engaged. If you are interested in exploring this or a more customized kind of approach, here you can schedule a time with me. It works through Calendly. So vireovideo.com/contact-Marlon, and that will take you to this page, and you can kind of book in a time, and it'll go in both of our calendars there. That's my email if you want to take that down, marlon@vireovideo.com. And yeah, questions.
So there's a question from Peter on the Q&A.
So Peter's asking, I listen to a lot of podcasts because it's easy with the iPad tool to subscribe to them and see new ones. I want to make videos often enough to create a following, but haven't seen the same ease of subscription via YouTube app. Am I missing something that would help followers see regular updates? So YouTube doesn't automatically share your content to your audience just because someone has subscribed. It's kind of silly that they don't, but because people subscribe to a lot of content, and if they were to show every subscription, then it would kind of overwhelm people's feeds. And you can still go to a subscribers tab, but they don't get a direct notification. If you want to your audience to get a direct notification, what you have to do is actually go and tell people to click the little alarm notification. After they subscribe, there's going to be an alarm notification to click that, and then they're going to see regular updates. Other methods include using playlists so that they are more likely to watch through multiple videos, or to have a call to action to get them to your email list. So offer them something of value outside of your YouTube content that you can get them to subscribe to your email list or other social platforms, so that you can let people know outside of the platforms that you have new content coming out.
Thanks, Marlon. There's 3 more questions, one from Jesse, one from Candace, and another one from Peter.
Okay, Jesse asks, what are good ways to respond to comments so people keep engaging audiences? I have responded to comments and then nothing continues. Are there some tips on ways to respond to comments that continues engagement? Main thing is asking questions. So if you want someone to respond, if you end the conversation, then you're ending the conversation. Someone's not going to come back and acknowledge that, versus if you ask a question specific to what they commented on, after you kind of acknowledge their initial comment, then they're more likely to come back and engage. What you can also do is be the first comment, or be a separate comment asking a question, so that other people see your question. They're not just responding to the video, but they're responding to your comment that's maybe pinned to the top of the video and responding there. Candace asks, your website again is, so that's Vireo Video, V-I-R-E-O, video.com.
One word?
I'll drop it in the chat here. Yeah, vireovideo.com/contact-Marlon to schedule a time with me. Peter has another question. Would it make sense to run the audio feed through a podcast channel as well? Yeah, so a lot of people will repurpose their content. They'll take those YouTube videos that they've done, provided that you have great audio quality already, and repurposing that for podcasts. That is a strategy that people actively use, or for repurposing that for blog posts, for example.
Marlon, maybe you could explain this to the attendees. Those attendees who are speaking on the Vancouver Get Inspired stage, I, the producer, share the revenue, the ad revenue, with them 50-50, which raises the specter of GI having to qualify to become a YouTube partner. Mm-hmm. Could you explain to the speakers how that whole process works?
Sure. So in order to become a YouTube partner, you have to have a minimum of 4,000 hours of watch time, I think, over the past 12 months. So watch time being total minutes watched, and also 1,000 subscribers minimum. And so it does take a bit. This was implemented around a year ago. These more challenging kind of metrics to achieve, but it does require some consistent, valuable content that people want to engage, want to subscribe, and want to watch multiple videos.
And that might help you attendees understand why the explainer and promotional videos that we just shot of you a couple of weekends ago will be posted onto the GI YouTube channel. It's to start that viewership and start that channel building, so that we can qualify as soon as possible for the YouTube to be a YouTube partner. And only as a YouTube partner can we receive advertising revenue, which of course then gets split 50-50. But if there is no revenue, 50% of nothing is still nothing. So we want to get that YouTube partner program status sooner rather than later. Now, I notice there's no more questions and there's no more comments other than an appreciation from Tracy. Thanking you, Marlon. So if there are no more questions, would you like to say a few closing words?
Well, thank you for being a part of this. I know it's the last one, so I hope it hasn't been, I hope it's been somewhat engaging. If you want to just, if you have any questions that maybe the program wasn't necessarily a fit for you, feel free to reach out. Yeah, if you have any follow-up questions related to video strategy, video distribution, shoot me a message. Happy to help.
Great. So it simply remains for me now to thank Marlon on behalf of all the attendees. And since Marlon is the last speaker, I just want to thank all of you who have hung in there for 2 days. I hope the content has been interesting and stimulating, and that you can use the mini training that each of our speakers gave you. Some of you may wish to retain some of the experts. Others may wish to go it alone and use the basic training that you have already received. Marlon, just a little clarification. You don't offer any training programs. You simply offer a done-for-you program. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have one-on-one consultations with myself. So if you want a one-hour consultation, we do have that. And that may be wise if you want structuring on what your actual title of your video will be, and any feedback on your scripting for how that will actually perform on YouTube.
Okay, now what would a one-on-one hour cost the attendees?
Yeah, so if you just want an hour, it's $200. You're getting years of experience compacted into a single hour. And if you want longer than that, then we can discuss.
Wonderful. So attendees, this is the first time the team has used this format to make our speakers aware and make the world at large aware of the 11 ancillary skills that speakers who aspire to have reach and influence really need to be aware of and ideally master some of. It would be very helpful to us going forward if you would offer me some feedback via email, rogerk@getinspiredtalks.com. And those of you who have my phone number, feel free to call. Because it just seems the vibe is good, the experts are enjoying this. I think you're getting a lot of valuable, perhaps eye-opening information that now you have a realistic assessment of what it takes to be a high impact public speaker. But you're filled with important messages, and the more impact you can have, the more those messages will mean something in our world, which has its fair share of troubles, and you have your fair share of solutions. So it's great synergy that we really want to capture for the benefit of humanity. It just remains for me to say thank you again. Thank you to Marlon. Thank you to the other 10 speakers, and wish you all good night. Happy Sunday. Bye-bye.